Hey everyone, and welcome. Get ready to plug in, because today we're diving into one of the most legendary sci-fi worlds to ever break down some really cool computer science ideas. And our guide? None other than The Matrix Reloaded. All right, let's get into it. So you gotta start with the big one, right? The question at the very heart of the movie. Are we all just living in some giant video game? I mean, it's a wild thought, totally mind-bending. But that exact idea, that's the key that's gonna unlock this whole thing for us today. And what's so cool about this is that if you look closely, the whole world of The Matrix, its rules, the characters, all the big fights, it all lines up almost perfectly with how a real computer system works. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break it all down, dig into its secrets, meet the creators, and face its biggest threats.
Okay, first things first. Before we can start hacking the system, we need to understand the layout, right? Who built this thing, where does it end, and maybe most importantly, what's outside of it. Let's take a look at the system's architecture.
And our first stop is Zion. Now, in the movies, it's the last human city, this hidden refuge. But for us, thinking like programmers, it's a completely different kind of safe haven. And this is where it all starts to click. Think of Zion as a totally separate network. It's like an external hard drive or a secure server that the main operating system, the Matrix itself, can't touch. It has zero direct control. It's the safe house where all the users who've unplugged can hang out and plan their next move. All right, now let's meet the guy behind the curtain, the creator himself, the architect. You know the one, super cold, all about logic, this being who literally designed the whole Matrix. He's the big boss, the reason the system even exists.
So whenever you see the architect, I want you to just think lead programmer, core developer. He's the guy who wrote the original code, designed the whole thing from scratch. All he cares about is making sure the system doesn't crash. It's all about stability and function for him. But here's the really fascinating part. He knows that a perfect system is actually a weak one. It's too rigid. So he purposely built in a flaw, an anomaly, a little bit of managed chaos, because he knows the system needs a pressure release valve to survive.
So that gives us our basic setup. On one hand, you've got the Matrix, which is basically the main operating system, and on the other, you've got Zion, the totally separate external network. And trust me, this split between what's inside the system and what's outside is going to be super important for everything else we talk about. Okay, so we've got the architecture down, but a system isn't just a blueprint, right? It's dynamic. The real fun begins when you ask, how do you get around in it? How do you get into those locked rooms? And even better, how do you bend the rules? And that leads us right to this incredible character, the Keymaker. I mean, his whole job is literally just making keys that can open any door, getting you into all the hidden parts of the system. So in our tech analogy, what on earth could he be? It's such a perfect metaphor. The Keymaker is basically a walking, talking password, or an encryption key. He holds the actual code you need to get into the system's secure areas, the places that are completely off limits to everyone else. He's the key to the back end. And of course, we have to talk about Neo. The One. He's that anomaly we mentioned, the guy who can literally see the code of the Matrix. But he doesn't just see it, he can rewrite it in real time. His powers? That's the ultimate hack. When you see Neo stop bullets in midair or fly, he's not just breaking the laws of physics. In computer terms, he's using a backdoor. He's found a glitch, a secret command, some little weakness in the code, and he's exploiting it to do things the main programmer, the architect, never, ever intended. And really, it all boils down to 3 simple steps. First, you find a flaw in the code, a little loophole. Second, you exploit that weakness. And third, you bend the rules. And that's it. That's the game. And it's exactly what real-world hackers and heroes like Neo do. But what happens when a program inside the system doesn't just bend the rules, it shatters them? What happens when it goes so wrong that it threatens to bring the whole thing crashing down? Well, that brings us to the biggest threat the Matrix has ever known, a rogue program that's gone viral. I'm talking, of course, about Agent Smith. See, he started out as just a piece of security software, an agent whose job was to police the system. But something broke, and he turned into something else, something wild, uncontrollable, and self-replicating. At first, it was just one of him, a single program. A problem, sure, but a contained one. But then, well, this happened. He figured out how to make copies of himself. He just started overwriting other programs, turning them into more Smiths. It wasn't just growth,
It was exponential. The whole thing just spiraled completely out of control. And there you have it. That is the most perfect picture of a computer virus you will ever see. Agent Smith is literally malicious code that just copies itself over and over and over again. It eats up system resources, and its only goal is to take over everything or just crash the whole OS. It's a full-blown digital pandemic. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Why even bother looking at a sci-fi movie like this? What's the point? Well, it's because it takes all these abstract, kind of nerdy computer concepts and makes them real. It makes them something you can see, something you can remember, and let's be honest, it makes them way more exciting. Think about it. Just by watching The Matrix Reloaded, we've basically broken down a whole digital world. We've seen networks like Zion, programmers like the architect, passwords and encryption with the Keymaker, exploits and backdoors thanks to Neo, and of course, computer viruses with Agent Smith. It's an amazing way to start seeing the code that's all around us.
So, at the end of the day, this is way more than just a fun thought experiment. The Matrix gives us this really intuitive visual way to grasp ideas that are normally totally invisible. It turns code into characters, and in doing so, it gives us a masterclass in how to understand the digital world.
And that's where we're going to leave it for today. But hey, the conversation doesn't have to stop here. I mean, what about the Oracle? Is she like a system diagnostic or a debugging tool? Or what about the Merovingian? Is he dealing in old, forgotten legacy code? The possibilities are pretty much endless, so I'll turn it over to you. What other computer concepts do you see in the Matrix?